Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. Have a good old chinwag about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I am joined by a very special guest, or you could say co-host. Lauren Buck is an
Hello.
actor and voiceover artist obsessed with films. Horror fan? Question mark. Are you even a horror fan? Really? Not really? Kind of.
I know.
No. Now, in all of the years of us doing this podcast, it's probably not very often that we've had a non-horror fan on the show, Horror Hangout podcast. So that is brand new and very exciting. But welcome to the show, Lauren. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for stepping in. Andy is on holiday. He's sunning himself somewhere, sunning every crevice and part of his body somewhere. Maybe getting sand in all the crevices. It's a lovely image. But you know, Andy, he's a handsome man, so it's fine. I can deal with it. So yeah, thank you for stepping in. I apologize, and I've already apologized to you before this. I apologize that the film we're discussing today maybe kind of wasn't the highest quality film I could have chosen, right? I mean, I had been discussing with you about coming on the show anyway, so I mean, ideally we would have chosen a film that you are a fan of or something that you wanted to discuss, but we got to start somewhere, you know. So I thought might as well just throw you in at the deep end, discussing Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. Although it is called Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, which is weird and confusing, right?
Yeah, very weird and confusing.
Yeah. And I know we've already discussed like your relationship with the Blair Witch movies and the fact you haven't seen the original, which is interesting.
Don't at me, people.
I am already fuming, all right? We've started off this podcast. I'm already angry, sick to the back teeth. You've not seen the original. I rewatched the original today and I went on my Letterboxd account where I rate all the movies, because I'm that guy. And do you know what I did? I went, fuck it, 5 stars. Blair Witch Project. It's always been hovering on the 4.5 star mark, but I went 5 stars. So if you wanted a recommendation, you're gonna get it straight from me. But I will vibe and talk about the Blair Witch movies and everything in general in a bit. But first of all, let's talk about you.
Hi.
Let's talk all about you. Tell me everything. Start at the very beginning, all right? Start at the very beginning. What's your earliest memory? No, of course not that. But of
It was
course
a
you've
Monday in 1987.
Oh, 18 you almost said then. Are you the Blair Witch?
Actually, over 100 years old.
You're the Blair Witch. I knew it. I bloody knew it.
That's who they're looking at.
So you've been acting, voice acting for a little while, haven't you?
Yes.
How's it all going? You enjoying getting your teeth into interesting roles?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very slow process. And for somebody that's come into it a little bit later in life, yeah, people are always like, oh, what have you been in? I'm like, I've only been trying to do it professionally for a couple of years. So
what have you been in? I've been in the house for the last few years.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta start somewhere. Like,
exactly.
I'm not gonna be disrespectful and say anything like starting late's fine, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not late, of course. And you always see those like inspirational images where it's like somebody didn't write their first book until they were this age, somebody didn't star in this film until they were this age, somebody didn't cook lasagna for the first time until they were 80. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro have just had kids at like 80 years old.
I know. That's insane.
How are the little fellas, and by little fellas I mean them downstairs, how are they still performing to such a high level? How are things still cooking? How are things still going?
Women are cut off at like late 40s, 50s. Like, that's it.
Maybe they've like had some level of help. I don't know. Maybe they froze their eggs like years and years ago.
Yeah.
Not eggs, spermies. Maybe they froze that years and years ago, and they were like, "Do you know what? I'm 8 years old. Fancy a kid. Somebody help me out."
I mean,
is
those
it?
people have got so much money. They're probably just like, sort it out for me. Just sort it out.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy, but also kind of annoying because when someone like Al Pacino or Robert De Niro as a kid, everyone's like, "What a bloody legend! What a legend!" He's still got it going on. But like an older woman has a kid, and everyone's like, "Oh bloody hell! Give
She's
the
called a
kid a chance."
geriatric pregnancy.
It's literally called that, isn't it? That's actually what it's called, isn't it?
Yep.
And they say that when you're
It's so
28.
it's so horrible.
Are you
Yeah,
some sort of
exactly. They
geriatric?
really do. They're like,
Around the block. Are you sure about this? Anyway, what were we saying? Yeah, voice acting. Are there any like particular dream roles you'd be aiming for? Could one of them be a horror role?
apparently horror is really fun. Apparently it's really fun to like film and act in. So yeah, that could be fun. I would love Charlie Brooker to keep writing Black Mirror just so I could be in one episode.
Yes.
That's like my dream. I tweeted the casting director once and was like, I'll do it for free. Just cast me in it.
That's what they like to hear. Desperation.
Desperation. Yeah, exactly. No, that would be like a dream role. I mean,
Yeah.
Daenerys has
thinking
already
like
been taken, so
that's incredibly rude, isn't it?
yeah.
Would you be thinking like a sci-fi role in Black Mirror, horror role, maybe like a sort of social commentary role?
I like the sci-fi ones, like the dystopian future, like technology ones. I think they're my favorite episodes. So
Yeah.
something like that would be really cool.
I think my favorite episode is every time I go to describe it, I forget what it's called. It's called Metalhead, I think. The one with the weird little robot dog
Yeah.
chasing Maxine Peake around some sort of black and white dystopian world. That I feel like that's my favorite because it's like a monster movie, but with a tiny little. And usually when you see those little robot dogs, you go, "That looks cute. That looks quality. Wonder what else it could do. It's trying to kill you."
Did you ever want one of the Sony ones, like back in the day, like in the early 2000s? They had like they sold the little dogs. Sony sold the dogs, and they did literally nothing.
I'm not sure.
They were
I'm
like
not sure
those,
I remember.
you know,
As
like
far
you
as
could wind up those dogs, and they would go, "Ruff, ruff, ruff," and then like
flip.
over. Yeah, they're pretty much like a robot version of that.
That's as far as I got with a robot dog, one of those little flippy ones. And to be fair, no matter how much they cost, once you've seen it do its flip once, you're like, a bit bored of you now.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
What else can I do?
Well, the flippy dog. Sorry, the flippy dog. I didn't mean you personally.
I was like,
this isn't an interview scenario. What else can you do? What else come on? What else must
any more
you do?
talents?
Any more talents? List them. But I know you've been doing voiceover stuff as well, and doing voice acting in gaming. Would that be something?
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would love people to play a game and be like, wait a minute, I know this voice. And they'll be like,
I know this voice. I've heard it before. That would be good.
It's really fun. Like when we've done like classes on vocal technique for voiceover games, it's really fun when they're like, you're being stabbed, and you have to be like, obviously
you're being stabbed.
They're like,
ow,
ow, you've just been hit with a massive block of wood. Like,
oh, you got to do the sound effect as well. Foley. Do they that?
Yeah, they do the Foley bit. We just do the ow.
Oh, my arse.
That's where you got hit.
So that's where I got hit in the arse. But so if like a horror role did come in, would you think you'd jump at the chance? I suppose like acting in horror, you don't necessarily have to be like the biggest horror fan to. In a way, it's kind of good when outsiders to the genre come in and do things like I'm thinking like Bella Ramsey in The Last of Us. She was like, I've never played the game. She didn't know what it was. I know Pedro Pascal was the same, and I don't think he knew what the games were. I kind of like that because I feel like it allows the actor to not be limited by like their expectations of it already, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And you don't have like a preconception of like or a preconceived idea of what it should be. So you can bring your own like characterization to the role. So no, I think that's good when you don't know a lot about things. Like if you get sent a script, like a play is a little different, but if you get like a script for when we do rehearsal scripts, I don't tend to look at the scene that's already been done because you don't want to copy that actor's performance.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's nicer to kind of bring your own
Yeah.
thing to it.
Bring something unique to it, like a limp. We've strictly said don't limp for this bit. Yeah, but I'm bringing my own thing, all right? I'm bringing my own quirky little thing.
We want to hear that limp in
No.
your voice. Like,
Oh, we're gonna hear the limp in your voice. That's interesting. I
that's
suppose, like,
what I'm
with
gonna do.
stage stuff, if it was like a big role, like a big famous role, that you would try and avoid replicating that in a way as well, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like Shakespeare's been done so many times. It's always better to put your own kind of spin on it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And you can't even do like gunfights in Shakespeare anymore, 'cause that's been done as well, hasn't it?
yeah.
That's
Romeo and
been
Juliet,
bloody
Baz
done.
Luhrmann.
There we go. Big Baz.
Baz.
So in a way, like if someone phoned you up and said, listen here, we've got a new Blair Witch movie that we're making. We think you'd be perfect for it. Have you watched any of the Blair Witch movies? And they're thinking, I hope that she hasn't. And then you'll turn around and say, I've seen Book of Shadows. They'll just put the phone down straight away. They'll just go, nah.
The only thing I know of like the original film is that famous shot of the like the snot coming out of her nose. Like,
Oh,
that's
that
it.
one. Okay. Yeah. Because it was obviously
Whenever
parodied.
anyone says it to me about Blair Witch, that's the only thing I think of is that shot.
Yeah.
The snot coming out.
Because it was parodied in like one of the scary movies, maybe, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly.
So
It
I
has
think
to
like
be.
a lot of people were exposed to that maybe before Blair Witch. And everything. I feel like, as somebody who's a big fan of the franchise, that's me. Sorry, talking about myself. Uh, I kind of feel a bit bad that you haven't seen the other films and this is the first one you've seen, because this is such a anomaly. That's a word, isn't it?
Yes.
Anomaly. It's such a weird film that is in a way like not really related to anything. I mean, it is related to it. The only things that really feel Blair Witchy are like speaking to the locals at the start of this film, because
Which is the bit I enjoyed. Like
yeah.
the acting in that bit was really good. Like
So I don't know
they're
if they
obviously
replicate.
actors, but
Well, this is the thing. So I don't know if they replicated this from the first one, but in the first movie, the people, I don't know if it was everybody, but most of the people that they had talking to camera who lived in like Burkittsville in the area weren't actors, but they kind of like were told, just talk about what you know about the Blair Witch legacy, legend, or sorry, we're going to feed you just a little piece of information, just embellish it, just like add your own sort of thing. And some of them really good, and they were like some of the most effective bits from the first film.
I guess because it's so realistic that
Yeah.
it's so naturalistic that that's more believable. Like if whatever at the beginning of this movie, I was like, this acting's really good, and then it just went,
And then it just goes all the way down. Because, okay, so I mean, in terms of the original Blair Witch Project, the reason that I find it so good is because it captured something. It was like a cultural phenomenon where everyone kind of thought it was maybe real. And I feel like you can never recreate that, because the internet's huge. This was like the early days of the internet. Well, not the early days of the internet, but the early days of people actively using the internet. So you can never recreate it, because you'll know straight away. You'll go on Twitter and you'll see this isn't actually real, even though you think it is. Whereas back in those days, you're like, is it real? It might be real. And the marketing was so well done, like on the internet, like with all of the sort of promotion and materials they had. It was kind of really promoting the fact that some people had gone missing and we'd found these tapes. And obviously found footage had existed in various fits and starts before, but this was like the big mainstream one that really captured everybody's imagination. And I think that's what it did for me, like, because all the horror I'd seen before was nice and shiny and Hollywood before that, where you're like, oh, xenomorph's not gonna actually come and kill me, that's silly. But this, you literally, I mean, so, forgive me if I'm just talking about it, and you already know these things. I'm trying to just I'll just tell you about the film, but you literally see nothing. There's nothing, you don't see anything. It's all sort of atmosphere and the anticipate. I think the first time you see it can never be replicated, because A, you think it might be real, B, you're hanging out to see something, which you never do. But it doesn't need it. It really doesn't need
right.
it. It doesn't need, you don't need to see anything at all. I just feel like all of the mythology surrounding it as well is really interesting. Like when this film came out, I was a bit like, I want to read books about it. There were like some PC games which were about the mythology of it and the history of that area, the Burkittsville area. And then this film arrived, which I think like everybody, I didn't see it for years.
Did
I
you
honestly
not?
didn't see it for years. So obviously it came out in 2000. I didn't go to cinema to see it. And I don't even know if it was a DVD one. I think I just eventually saw it like when it was maybe on like TV or like a cable channel or something. And genuinely being like, what the fuck is this? But it's weird because obviously as a sequel, it's like a bit meta where the
Yeah.
Blair Witch Project movie exists within the realms of this film, but also it kind of dials into that early 2000s. Everything has got a new metal soundtrack. Everything's edgy and cool and drugs and smoking and goths and
That
shagging on
grunge
graves.
aesthetic.
Yeah, just and all of that. And you text me when you said like, oh, there's so many whip pans and
They didn't
things.
whip anywhere.
They didn't whip
Like,
anywhere.
just whip
And
like
that
this.
sort of
They
weird,
didn't go from
that
a
sort of
subject
weird.
to a subject.
No, that weird like juddery sort of like it's filming through bubble wrap or something. That shit going down. It is in a way, even though it's a bad film, it's like a real. It's of its time in such a way that I reckon you could watch 15 seconds of it and you go, that is 2000 to 2004. Without a doubt.
It was like
Without a shadow of a doubt.
peak time that I watched MTV. Like I was obsessed with MTV as a kid.
But it kind of feels like it kind of feels like a big old music video as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was like, this is real. What?
Yeah, the soundtrack. Well, I mean, I don't want to cover too much about the film before we actually get into the review, but the soundtrack is got loads of loads of interesting stuff on it. There's System of a Down, Marilyn Manson, Nickelback, At the Drive-In, Queens of the Stone Age, POD or Pod, if you want to. What does it stand for? Payable on death or something like that. Anyway, it was like there was a specific brand of American horror movies that were all had these soundtracks, all had these sort of actors in, and yeah, it's just a weird direction for it to go. Like, could have gone in so many different directions with this mythology that they already built up of like a witch who'd. So there's absolutely loads of stuff to do with the mythology that I love, but it's pretty much not there in Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. There's no witch. There's no, well, there's someone who says she's a witch, but I don't know. There's no witch. There's no bloody Book of Shadows. What's the Book of Shadows?
Where is this shadow book?
What is it? I thought they were going to find a book or something and they'd be like, oh no, look at this. Terrible.
There's lots of I would you call them runes or like witches?
Oh yeah, sort of Wiccan sort of alphabet.
Sorry.
Is it something like that? I don't know. I don't know. I think it is. But in the original, there's so many cool things about like is this a witch? Is it a ghost? Apparently she like possessed the spirit of somebody called Rustin Parr who like killed a load of kids. Then there's all this like weird like time loop stuff where they kind of get stuck and they physically can't walk out. They just keep going and there's just forest and forest and forest. And then they come back to the point where they were like camping. And in Blair Witch 2016, they elaborate on it more where like the sun doesn't come up. It's just like they're stuck in daylight. So there's loads of this really interesting stuff, interesting, unique stuff, where it's like a horror movie set in the woods, but this supernatural stuff that is genuinely unnerving. And it just felt like this film just went, fuck all that.
Like I feel like now you've said that like there's obviously like the bit where they're like looking at the videos footage because they've like lost loads of hours of time and that maybe that's like that little time loop
yeah
back.
Maybe
there's like
the
7 kids that appear.
Yeah they're wearing weird clothes is what she said.
Oh, yeah.
They was all dressed like weird and stuff.
Victorian.
Yeah, they was all dressed like that and they hate goths in this town as well. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we're discussing too much of the film because obviously we just cannot wait to get our bloody teeth into it. So I'll do a little bit of horror news. horror news for us. Okay. A couple of horror news bits this week. Linda Hamilton is joining Stranger Things 5. So old Linda. Sorry, I don't want to call her old Linda. I mean, she's getting on, but I don't want to call her old Linda. She's joining Stranger Things 5. Obviously, Linda Hamilton from Terminator 2 and bloody loads of other things. She was in a horror movie that we discussed fairly recently. What was it? What was it? Firestarter? Was she in that? I can't remember. Anyway, I love the fact that Stranger Things goes, here's someone awesome from 80s and 90s pop culture. Obviously, we have Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself in that. Oh, Linda Hamilton was in Children of the Corn, which I watched recently, which we didn't cover on the podcast, but so she's been in horror stuff as well. But yeah, Stranger Things 5, I think it's 2024 at some point. I don't think they've given us a date just yet. Stranger Things 5, it seems insane that we're on series 5, right?
Well, they weren't going to make 5. They were going to stop at 4, but it was so popular that they've
the old money machine. The old money machine.
Netflix were like, more of this, please.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's good. If series 4 was bad and they were like going, let's make another series, you could be like, oh, give it a rest. But it's good. And if 5's going to be the end, if we get to a point where 11 is like in her mid-40s.
Yeah, she's not getting any younger, is she? Bless her, really Bobby Brown.
They just go, this little kid over here, 11, that's a woman.
It's all right. They did it in Greece. It's fine. We're like 35-year-olds playing teenagers.
That's true. It was too. Rizzo, Jesus Christ, Rizzo.
Stockard Channing was definitely in her 30s.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Oh, 30s. Or did everyone just look old back then? Because I've been seeing loads and loads of stuff recently on Twitter where they're like, look at this person from a film, and you look at them and they go, this person was 38 when this was shot. And I'll go, excuse me? They are ancient. There was like somebody, I can't remember who it was. It was like an actor, and they're like, this actor like went grey, like really, really young, and now he's playing over 50. And it was it looked like just a 60-year-old man, and they were going, this person's 39 in this picture. I'm like, absolutely not. It's not how age works.
There's actually a YouTube video about how we perceive older generations' photos to be older, even though they're like the same. It's really interesting, and I really can't remember where it is, but if I find it, I'll send you the link.
Is it just a perception thing then? It's not like
I think it's like the clothes that they wear and like our perception of time, and like it's really strange.
Some people do look bloody ancient. Like sometimes you see it, and when you see photos from like the 80s when everyone's dressed in brown and all the wallpaper's brown, and like everyone's got thick rimmed glasses on, and they go, I was 15 in this picture. You were what? 15 years old? What happened from age 10 to 15?
It's really funny you say that, because they had a guy that had those like big glasses, wore like a beige kind of like shirt and like jumper combo with a tie, and then he wore that every year for like, he was a teacher.
Oh, okay. No, I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's
so interesting. Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, the perception of time is so you think we'll look back at photos of ourselves, or if it's us, it doesn't work, right?
No, I'm just gonna stay like this forever.
Perfectly, immaculately, just in time, just frozen, filtered. Get a Botox in every nook and cranny.
It's really hard to act with Botox.
Is it? I suppose it would be. I tell you what. Again, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. That was proved to me. So I love Gina Davis, right? Gina Davis is great in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Fly. She's great in Thelma and Louise. She's just amazing. She was in the Exorcist TV show, and I was genuinely just like, is she all right? Because she's doing no acting.
The face is just
is no acting. Okay. And somebody did say maybe she's like had a bit of Botox. Maybe that's why she's struggling with the old facial expressions. And me, stupid idiot me, was just like, didn't really even perceive that. So I was like, oh dear. But yeah, sorry, Gina, if you're listening. I do apologize. What else? What else we got horror news? Oh, I saw a trailer for something. Saw a trailer for a documentary called The J Horror Virus, which teases a deep dive into Japan's scariest movies. The team behind the found footage phenomenon are back with another terrifying documentary. I watched this documentary, Found Footage Phenomenon, all about the found footage phenomenon, which obviously had loads of stuff to do with like Blair Witch Project in it, but also like other films as well. But this is going to be a deep dive into Japanese horror. Are you a fan? I'm not a fan of any horror, right? All about like the horror boom of Japanese horror in the 90s and early 2000s, talking about things like Pulse, Cure, obviously Ringu, The Grudge, Ju-on, Tetsuo the Iron Man, loads of stuff that we've covered on this podcast as well. But I'll tell you what, Lauren, I love a documentary. I love a documentary, but I also love a documentary about movies, and I also love a documentary about horror movies. So this is like what are those things called? Venn diagram. If you had the Venn diagram of all three of those things, right and bang in the middle is this.
Is you with that documentary.
Right in the bloody middle.
I'm not allowed to do the Grudge noise in my house because my sister and my mum hate it.
Oh God.
But,
I'm gonna You're not allowed, you've been officially banned from doing it. Why? Because you're too good at it?
Like do it in the
Oh.
My mum's like, no, don't do that. I've never seen The Grudge because I'm terrified that I will like I've got such an over imaginative brain that I managed to like fool myself as a child that there was always people in the garden when I was making myself a drink at night, and I was always
like watching
because I like that classic horror shot where you're like filling a glass up at the sink and then it like
it's just a Poddington peas down there.
There's just some face there going, hello, I'm going to kill you now. Yeah.
Hello, I'm going to murder you. Could I just let you know? It's only all you've got down at the bottom of the garden, Lauren, is the Poddington peas. Don't worry about it. They're lovely. They won't get you. They won't get you. Don't do the Grudge noise. What a banger. So yeah, looking forward to that. I don't know if we've got a date for that, but I'm assuming doesn't have a release date, but there is a trailer which I saw on Twitter and I did share on the Horror Hangout Twitter page. So go and check out the trailer, and yeah, this sounds super exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Let's bloody do it. Let's bloody do it. And yeah, if there's any other Japanese horror that you think we should cover on the show, please let us know, because I'm always keen to find those undiscovered gems. Always happy about that. Okay, last bit of horror news, Lauren. Sorry to go on. All right,
it's your channel.
Yeah, that's right. It is. All right,
it's
my. You're just a guest. I did call you a co-host, but really,
well, co-host.
I did call you a co-host, but you need to do a lot more to earn the title. I'm joking. So the Alien movie, the new Alien movie, directed by Fede Alvarez, Evil Dead and Don't Breathe director. Seen either of those? There's this film called Evil Dead, right? There's some Evil Dead in it, okay? And there's another film called Don't Breathe. And guess what? Just don't breathe, you'll be all right. Don't breathe and you'll be all right. Anyway, so he was a great director, really visceral, like uber violent style, is directing the new Alien movie, which seems really weird that I'm going to say this, but for Disney, the new Disney Alien movie, obviously it's just like 20th Century Fox or whatever.
But do they own Alien now?
Yeah, Alien, Predator, a few things. All the Fox properties they own now. So the project doesn't yet have an official title, but August 16th, 2024 is when it's officially going to be released. So yeah, that's super exciting. An original standalone feature. I think there's been lots of rumors about it possibly taking place on Earth, which could be interesting. I just hope, and this is me as an Alien fan, just simplify it a bit more. That's all I want. We don't need to know the ins and outs of the origin of the xenomorph. Have you seen any Alien films?
I've seen the first one.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen the first one,
Alien.
That's
No,
I'll call it Alien.
The singular Alien.
But that's the thing. That's the perfect example. Alien is perfect in its own little bubble. Aliens is good because just more of them. When it gets it gets too complicated, was going, yeah, but where'd this alien come from? How was it made? I think when you start doing that, you're like, it's not as interesting anymore. So keep it simple. It's the official ninth entry in the film series, which kind of seems crazy. It's like 40 years plus.
Why?
And it's only the ninth entry. Could be a lot more, couldn't there? So yeah.
Even Fast and Furious have more.
Even the bloody Fast, exactly. And those
like
films, I would say, are better. I'm joking. I'm complete joke. I've only ever seen up to Tokyo Drift, and then I went.
I don't think I've seen any.
I'll ask you this question only once, Lauren. Have you seen any films?
Yeah.
I've seen some. Yeah,
I've seen some.
I've seen Finding Dory, Finding Nemo. I didn't bother with that, but the sequel, I'll check that out. Yeah, Finding Dory. What else have I seen?
I watched episode 7 of Star Wars.
Did you? Is that true?
No, I've seen all of Star Wars.
Oh, you have? Oh God,
I've got to get some brownie points somewhere, haven't I?
Have you seen Dude, Where's My Car?
Yes, of course. Okay, it was a rite of passage when I was a kid.
Now I understand. Now I know what films to reference for you. Dude, Where's My Car? And then, Dude, what does mine say?
Dude, what does mine say?
Wait, was it Dude? And then what's the other one? Sweet. What does mine say? Dude, what does mine say? Oh, that's great.
Oh, was that Sean William Scott and Ashton Kutcher?
It sure was.
Oh, I miss them.
They're still about. They're still knocking about. When Ashton Kutcher like doing something like saving victims of trafficking or something recently.
Oh, I might have just completely good people stuff now.
I completely just made that up, you know. He's doing that, but to balance it out, Sean William Scott is just punching random people in the street. No, he's not. I invented that as well. He's not doing that. He would never. He's a lovely guy. Okay, let's move on swiftly on to what we've been watching. Now, this week, recent. Now, usually I get it to be horror adjacent, but I think Black Mirror, which you've already mentioned, counts as horror adjacent 100%. And you've seen it all. We won't spoil it. So if you've not seen Black Mirror, I've only seen the first 2 episodes of season 6, series 6. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, how'd you find it?
Oh, big fan.
How did you find it? Well, I just opened Netflix and it was there on the main page.
Put my little password in so nobody ruins my algorithm.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, don't you hate it when you go on there?
I'm one of those.
You hate it when you go on there and goes, "Who's watched Riverdale on my account?" I am fuming. Flip the table.
Do you know what one of my favorite things to do is when you like meet a new person and you go to their house and then you see what like their Netflix is like when they log in.
Well, you can go and watch again.
Netflix.
Yeah, you can go and watch again. You can literally see people's deepest, darkest secrets.
Mine is absurd comedy, like series. Like
I don't think I watch nearly enough Netflix as I should do, but it's just one of those...
there's some trash on there too. You know, sometimes you just got to watch Selling Sunset.
You gotta have a little bit of trash.
Sometimes I don't have enough capacity in my brain to actually take anything else in apart from that. So
don't blame you for that. So yeah, Black Mirror. Did you enjoy it in comparison to other series? Would you say, or would you say it's kind of like on a par?
I really enjoyed episode 1 because I feel like that's
yeah.
And I know a lot of people didn't like episode 1, but
I didn't dislike episode 1. I just felt like I struggle a bit with the episodes which are like American set with American actors. I don't know why. It just feels different to me. I guess because the first series was mostly all UK set with UK actors. That feels like Black Mirror. And I feel like when it gets a bit more Americanized and like bigger budget, for example, it starts to feel, even if the stories are good and the writing's good, I don't know, something doesn't quite sit with me. And I think my only problem with the first episode is that it felt like, sure, it was meta, but then it kind of went too far off the meta cliff for me. That makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe I just like the aesthetic as a whole, and I love Annie Murphy, and I'm glad she's in more things because she is so underrated and I love her. yeah, I quite liked the twist, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really clever. Maybe it's not clever, but I thought it was really cool.
I think it is
But that,
clever,
yeah, I think
but
this series isn't as shocking
okay.
as others.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
wish
as a,
there was. Sorry.
do you wish there was like a more of a big, interesting, mad twist, where you're like, this is the maddest shit I've ever seen?
I think there's some just really standout episodes in other series, like, but then maybe they're just a really cool project of their time. Like,
yeah, because I like it when the episode's got a bit of a message as well. You know, when it's kind of just here's a story. Oh my god, did you know after all this that this person was actually a Sasquatch? No, I didn't. That's a good twist. I like it when it's got a bit of a. But I don't know. I
talking
feel
of
like
episode 2, no, I'm joking.
talking of episode 2, bloody Sasquatch involved, didn't it? I'd love a Sasquatch episode of Black Mirror. It'd be great.
That'll be cool. Sasquatch.
Like,
Is that Bigfoot, or are they different?
I think they're the same. Sasquatch, Bigfoot. I used to be proper creeped out. I think, do you know what? That's kind of like, in a way, comes back to Blair Witch Project, because scared of the woods. What's in the woods? Don't know. Remember that picture of the Bigfoot man like, walking past, but like looking back? You scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh Jesus, what is that? What's out there? Terrifying. And I think
you're not scared of the woods. You're scared of what may be in the woods.
Exactly. If anything,
that's so deep and profound.
I ain't scared of the woods at all. All right, I'm just scared of Sasquatches.
I'm scared of the dark because I don't know what's out there. So like,
oh God,
what are you?
Just take a big industrial powered torch with you at all times,
and a dog.
And if anyone attacks you, and a dog, and if anyone attacks you, just blind them. Just pepper spray anyone you go past. All right, even if they're not a threat, pepper spray them. All right, because that'll learn you.
Just that little... Don't go walking at night. Someone might pepper spray you.
Really? It does. I get that weird thing where like I might walk in at night, walking the dog, and if I see someone else walking a dog, I'll be like, it's a bit late in it to be out with a dog.
What are you doing out here?
And then I realise, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm out here too.
When I drive home really late from London, I'm always like, where are you people on the road for? It's really late. And then I'm like, oh,
yeah, go, man. You got a bloody home to go to. Fuck it. So, yeah, I do want to finish Black Mirror. I did enjoy episode 2. It's got a bit of a true crime vibe to it. I think with Black Mirror, though, it's got to a point where I'm just always hanging on for like, okay, what's the interesting, what's the hook? And sometimes episodes, they don't have a hook or they don't need a hook. And in a way, because I've been expecting one, it's almost a bit of a disappointment. But I also feel like if it did have a hook, I'd be like, oh, it's just a bloody gimmick, this show. So, but what I'm saying is I could never be pleased.
Ever.
I'm too fussy.
2 of the episodes are really long. They're like 90 minutes.
Okay. I think I did see that, yeah. Cool. Well, I will be checking the rest of it out, and I will look forward to discussing it with you once I've watched them all. I will get around to it. Might take me a while, but I'll get around to it. I'll just anything else that you've seen this week that you wanted to mention? Have you just been Black Mirroring?
I think it's just Black Mirroring. I'm trying to watch the end of Ted Lasso. I know that is in no way related to horror at all. I'm on the last episode. So...
Last episode ever. I'm a football fan, but I've never felt the need to check it out yet. I don't know why.
It's quite wholesome.
Yeah, I've heard that. It. Are there like actual cameos from actual football people as well? Is that right?
I mean, if there were, I wouldn't know.
The Cristiano Ronaldo walks on, you go, who's this prick?
Oh, I know what he would be. Like it's kind of set.
It's like Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like fictional players, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Do you remember Footballers' Wives?
I do. Yes, I never watched it, but yeah,
on Sky One. I watched that.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Okay. I've watched a couple of things this week. I guess a couple of things aren't really horror. So I watched 2 big blockbuster movies at the cinema. So I watched Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, which was all right. You know, I think if you enjoy Transformers movies, go and check it out. Have you seen them?
watched them up until they replaced Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, I think.
Oh yeah, I think he was only in
But
the first
I have
two
been
or
to
three.
Hong Kong where they filmed it. Like I
Have
stood
you?
and had a photo where like in this where one of
Did
the
you do a
sets.
little transformer pose?
Yes, yes,
Whoa,
massively.
that was
I just like
almost.
transformed into this car.
Yeah. This was all right. I just feel like all of these films. I'm always a bit like, well, that was 5.5 out of 10. Like I never. I think the first one's amazing, but I just hate how in these films how easily everything's resolved. It's like the world's gonna end if we don't do this thing. What thing have we got to do? All we got to do is press this button, and I'm like, what? Why is it so easy to resolve?
So that yeah, it's like there's no stakes, is there? And with
I
I
know
feel like
zero
watching
stakes.
videos
So it's
about
like,
that.
yeah, like even though the world's gonna end, the stakes are still pretty much at zero.
Yeah.
I also watched The Flash, which I was. So I guess this could be seen as horror adjacent because it's directed by Andy Muschietti, who directed It and It Chapter 2. And
Ooh.
I've seen this film has been getting a lot of hate. A lot of people saying it's pretty much a shit show, and also that the CGI is dodgy. And I will agree with that. The CGI is dodgy. It's very rubbery. I don't know if it.
Is it
I don't know if it
Aquaman bad?
worse.
Oh
It's
my
it is the right. So here's the thing. It's so bad that I'm like it can't have been done accidentally. I feel like it's been done on purpose for whatever reason. The aesthetics of the film, for some reason, are like when the Flash goes super speedy, he also becomes like rubbery because I don't know. I don't know. However, I only really watched it for Michael Keaton because to have Batman coming back for the first time since like 1992 as like how old is he? 70s? I think he's in his 70s. All the Batman stuff is great. All the Batman stuff is like note perfect. They've captured it brilliantly. They've got like the Danny Elfman soundtrack. It's honestly great. And I think the less we say about Ezra Miller, the better. I can't really comment on Ezra's performance because I don't think that's fair because of everything. So I would just say Sasha Cow as Supergirl is awesome as well. I think she's great. And story's a bit all over the place. I really enjoyed it, and a lot of the jokes actually landed. I saw a lot of people saying, "I didn't laugh once. My screening didn't laugh once." I laughed loads. Honestly, I did. And with these superhero films, I do get a bit like fatigued by the comedy, and I'm like, oh, I kind of do want to. But I was in there for this one. I was absolutely in there, and there's a couple of cameos, which are like the most unexpected cameos you could ever get, and I'm like, shit, that's awesome. Like, I'm into it. Like cameos where it's like, you know how these superhero films they go, here's an actor from a film years ago.
Yeah.
With this film, they're expecting the audience to know not just actors who have been in previous films, but actors who like maybe almost got cast once and then didn't,
Okay.
and then they're in this. So
Ooh.
so yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I guess the last thing I'm not really talking about horror at all. Sorry. The last thing I watched is now this is one of my favorite films. One of my favorite films. All right. So this week, novelist Cormac McCarthy, legendary novelist, died. He passed away, leaving behind like a huge legacy of books. Like so, he wrote No Country for Old Men. Again, I'm just saying this as if you don't know, so apologies. I'm not mansplaining here, all right? He wrote No Country for Old Men. So I saw the film No Country for Old Men in like 2009. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Read the book, and then I was like, I need to read all of the books by this guy, and I read loads of his books, including The Road, which was also made into a movie starring Viggo Mortensen. This is like everyone calls it depressing. Everyone calls it like the most bleak movie ever. I don't reckon it's depressing. Sure, everyone's dead. There's a man and his son wandering the wasteland where there's like cannibals, raiders, people who want to kill you and steal your stuff and leave you naked, literally. I don't. It's like a weird, oddly hopeful film. It's like, and it's such a lovely relationship between this father and son. Like, I don't know, I think we've seen so many like post-apocalyptic films where like the dad's a bit grizzled and he's like, I can't face showing anything love because I know I'm gonna lose it eventually anyway. The relationship between the father and son in this is so lovely. The boy's got a little teddy bear. I just on like I've seen this film before, but I'm pretty sure it made me cry the first time. This time I was definitely choking up. Oh God. Oh God. Ah, and the book is like it's really hard to describe, like Cormac McCarthy's writing, but something about the book is like, I mean, I think they've captured it really well on screen, where it's just like it's horrible. You're literally reading about, oh, that then some cannibals try to eat us, and then we had to run away, and he's like got one bullet, this guy, and he's like, I'm saving it for myself. It's proper horrific, but I don't know. So it's directed by John Hillcoat, who directed like a few sort of modern westerns like Lawless with, I think Tom Hardy's in that with a cardigan on. The Proposition with
Loves a cardigan.
Loves a cardigan. Proposition, which is great with Guy Pearce and other people. That's a good modern western. I felt so. The Road, well, it isn't a western. It's like a post-apocalyptic movie. It has got sort of like western sensibilities, and the music is by Nick Cave and
Nice.
and what's his flavor? What's the guy? Oh, Warren Ellis. That's it. So yeah, I went back to it, watched it, and I was like, yeah, this is one of my favorite films, definitely. Just like No Country for Old Men, though. That's a banger. Have you seen that one? Have you seen The Road?
Yes. No, I feel like I've seen the poster for it, but it sounds like it's properly up my street. Like,
Oh,
I feel
so
like
good.
there's a film that might be like slightly similar. It's called like The Book of Eli. The guy's blind though.
Yes,
Is that
Denzel
similar?
Washington.
Yeah.
I guess it's got some similarities, yeah. This is like a really stripped back post-apocalyptic film where it's like it doesn't explain what's happened. Do you know what I mean? It's not like,
Yeah.
and then there was a disease, and then all the trees died, and then all the bees turned into dust. I don't know. it's
Is
like
it a
one of
film
those.
that if they remade it, they would cast Pedro Pascal in it because he is the daddy
Oh,
of
yeah, but
literally everything.
this is another thing where I've just gone. So obviously this came out, the book came out before, The Road came out in 2009, Last of Us, the game came out in 2013. So it just all feels like a natural progression to these things. And
Yeah.
sure, if Pedro Pascal's wheelhouse is I'm caring daddy type, looking
Precious cargo.
after tiny precious cargo, yes, of course, then yeah, this probably would be that. But I think when it's done right, it's amazing, isn't it? What I hate is when they do it and then they do this. The like daddy character, the daddy character is all grizzled. You don't love anymore, and he doesn't. There's no like character progression because obviously, Joel starts out like that, but then after a while he starts to realize,
Yeah.
And the same with bloody Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Bloody
bloody Grogu, the little prick. Well, that's your answer for everything, isn't it, Grogu? Just lift your little hand up. Oh, there's no stakes in that, Mandalorian. What's that? Oh no!
Oh, I know.
That ain't the music. I am there, Yoda. I saw a spoof on TikTok where somebody had like dressed their dog like Baby Yoda.
Amazing.
And they were like, every Mandalorian episode is like this, and then basically did that.
And it's like the monster comes out, and then Baby Grogu comes out in his little like thing, and then he's like, I'm really sleepy now.
Oh yeah, he goes to sleep, doesn't he?
I mean, it's
like,
a lot of
oh,
effort,
I've used up all my energy. That's another fit. So the Flash, going back to the Flash, they do a good thing where if the Flash has been running for ages, he gets absolutely ravenous. I think it's pretty good. He's like, I need to eat. I'm starving. My metabolism's all over the place, all over the shop.
Like, I like it when they make superheroes a little bit more normal. Like they get cuts and bruises and break things.
Yeah,
it makes them like get like, yeah.
It was. It was good. Maybe I'm definitely. Do you know sometimes you have weeks where you're just like everything you watch, you're like, this is shit. I hate this. I hate that. This is bollocks. Everything shit. Sometimes I'll just be in a mood where I'm like, do you know what? I'm into it. Even if it ain't perfect, I'm into it. I'm enjoying myself.
I
that sort
think
of
when
thing.
you love films so much, we can be really like critical, hypercritical of stuff
Mm,
that is just entertainment.
yeah.
And you have to think, sometimes you have to step back away from it and be like, actually, this isn't supposed to be like critically
Mm.
acclaimed,
I
BAFTA,
think
Oscar winning performances. It's just supposed to be fun.
I think when I get genuinely angry at things is because there's so much awesome stuff out there, and I think we're lucky enough to have like seen so many awesome things and so many things we've enjoyed, get like movies and TV shows and podcasts and loads of cool things made of it. That when you get a bad thing, you're a bit like, ah, they got it right. Why can't you? For
Yeah.
fuck's sake! It's almost like we're just we don't know how lucky we are. We're just It's like we're sat in a restaurant eating loads and loads of lovely meals, and then someone brings out a plate of shit. Send it back.
Send it back.
Get it down your neck.
Get rid of that.
I mean, that is pretty much it for what we've been watching. I guess a little while into the podcast, we should now start officially talking about the film. Even though we spoke about it a bit, we did speak about it a bit, but we'll dive into the actual official rundown and review of the movie, which is Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. Book of what? That's the first one, isn't it? Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. What's confusing about this is like it was a sequel to The Blair Witch Project. So I feel like they should have gone The Blair Witch Project, Book of Shadows. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that they've gone Book of Shadows, that should be first, and then we'll call it Blair Witch 2. The Blair Witch Project 2? No, just Blair Witch 2. The Blair Witch 2? No, just Blair Witch 2. So it's too casual, isn't it? It's just like Blair Witch 2,
Maybe
whatever.
there was some rights. Maybe they were like, no, we don't want you to make this film. And they were like, we want to make this film. And then they
I
just stuck
think
at the end.
I didn't actually look into this greatly, but I've seen a lot of comments saying that there was a lot of studio interference. So I think the fact that like the original was made for like next to nothing,
Yeah,
and made loads, whereas this film had a budget of 15 million. So I think they were a bit more like, right, we can't mess this up. Because you only get one shot, Eminem. You're only get one shot at making
or
a
Hamilton.
sequel. Is it Hamilton as well? Okay. Big bad Hamilton. Linda
No,
Hamilton.
it's called My Shot.
My shot. You only get one shot at making a sequel to like a hugely successful film, don't you? Literally. Like, so obviously they're making a sequel to Joker, which was successful, made $1 billion at the box office.
What?
Now they're going chuck Lady Gaga into the mix as well. And I'm a bit like, ooh, I mean, yeah. I'm sure it'll be great. But still, you're like, whoa, hey, oh, I'm not so sure. Like, I feel like that. Imagine like studio executives parting with like $15 million. Terrifying. Okay, so Blair Witch. No, I can't. I still can't say it right. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, is a 2000 American horror film directed and co-written by Joe Berlinger. It stars Jeffrey Donovan, Stephen Barker Turner, Kim director, playing someone called Kim. God, just because every time someone said Kim, she went, what? Oh no. The plot revolves around a group of people fascinated by the mythology surrounding the film The Blair Witch Project. They go into the Black Hills where the original film was shot and experience supernatural phenomena. Is that it? That's a spoiler, isn't it? So it's got 4.0 on IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 14% critic score, yes, out of 100, and 18% audience score. Sometimes you see like a big sort of jump in those numbers, a big difference, but no. 1.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I've got some choice reviews here from Letterboxd users. A bit of a cross section. So Emperor Cupcake says, this movie contains no Book of Shadows. Discuss. I stole that a little bit for what I mentioned earlier. Yeah. It contains no Book of Shadows. That is in its own right false advertising. Ali says, Emperor Cupcake gave it 2 stars out of 5. Ali says, I don't understand the hate towards it, but I am also willing to admit that I might be blinded by 2000s nostalgia and a good soundtrack. 4.5 stars.
Why?
And just for context, I was just talking about The Road, which I loved. I gave The Road 4.5 stars. I didn't even give it
Wow.
5.
Wow.
Ali's gone nuts. And then Cliff says, a surprisingly nasty and mean-spirited sequel that was massively slated on release, being seen as a step backwards after the Blair Witch Project's groundbreaking use of found footage and internet marketing. 3.5 stars. That's still pretty high, Cliff.
Yes, Cliff.
And Suspirian Knight says, I'm just here for the goth chick. 3 stars. So Kim Director, who plays said goth chick, she is at horror conventions all the time. People love it and people love her. So if anything, if we could take anything away from this movie, is the fact that her performance in this is considered like one of the definitive goth horror roles. I mean, I know you've got The Craft and you've got Morticia and you've got Elvira and you've got Wednesday Addams, but still, this is a definitive turn of the century, I guess, goth role. And I think that was the one thing I remember from when I first saw it when I was however old I was, because I think my tastes in the opposite sex were being crafted at that time, and I was like, bloody goth. She looks like that little cartoon character from in Kerrang. Do you remember that? The little what was it called?
I don't remember.
Cartoon character comic strip. She was called Pandora.
There we go. Of course she was called Pandora. Classic goth name.
Classic. But apart from that, this film is just a weird film. It does so many things that annoy me about movies anyway. But even like I've gone back to a lot of like 2000s horror movies that I kind of liked and gone back to them. They do a lot of stuff similar, and this film is kind of guilty of it as well, I think. So not only was this your first time watching this film, but this was your first time watching any Blair Witch Project film. I feel like I've done you a disservice there, Lauren. I'm sorry.
I feel like it was funny because we had a conversation, didn't we? And I was like, shall I watch the original first? And should I watch the other one? And then you were like, actually, no, just watch it as a solo, single thing.
Because initially I was like, it's good to have context, but I thought I'd give you a bit of context. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the Blair Witch Project and like what it is and everything, but at the same time, like, as I've already mentioned, it's weird because this sequel isn't like a follow-on to those events. It's like the film actually exists within the realms of it, and it still exists. Wait, does it still exist as a piece of fiction, though? It does, doesn't it? Or does it exist as like...
What I got from it is that it exists
happened.
as a piece of fact.
Tourists and fans of the Blair Witch Project, it kind of says. So, it's where the film was set. Well, it says where the film was set. So they obviously knew it was a film. But to be fair, now I've actually thought about it, I am a bit like, but does it exist as a movie? Because obviously the meta thing would be it exists as a film. I can't even remember. Do we see anyone like on a talk show or anything like that? I think we do.
Well, there's like tourists, aren't they? Like the people that live there have got they've made t-shirts and little like wicker things and like selling bits of dirt from it and stuff like that.
So I'm thinking it exists as a movie, as a fictional movie.
And then like the other townspeople are like, stop coming to our town.
I'm sick of it. I've had a fucking enough. People are like arriving and like they want to buy dirt and buy a rock. I genuinely do want to go to Burkittsville. I do. It's something I've kind of planned a bit of a horror movie tour / pilgrimage, and that's one of the places I want to go. I don't really care if there's nothing there. Just want to have a little mill about. Come out, Blair Witch. Come out, Blair Witch, you slag.
Take your old little VCR recorder.
There was something from the original. I'll tell you so a couple of things that genuinely were spooky from the original, because I watched the original before I watched this as well, just because I don't know, I want to be fresh, everything be fresh. Those little stories at the start where like townspeople are kind of talking about the Blair Witch and various things, the ones that seem genuine. There's one in the Blair Witch Project where like this little old lady is talking about how she saw the Blair Witch when she was a kid, And it's proper creepy because she's like, this woman came up to me, this old woman, and she like, her arms are really hairy. She was like covered in like almost looked like a really coarse dark fur, and she opened her shawl up. She did like she flashed her essentially, and she was all hairy on the body.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh, that's creepy. And then someone else who described seeing something similar, but they were like, oh, but she was like floating. Like it all seems proper creepy. Whereas this film got so much opportunity to like introduce some of these creepy visuals, and they just go, load of ghost kids from the Victorian era or something. Load of ghost kids been down a mine. Yeah, now they're walking in the street.
Just make them look grey. All Victorian kids are grey.
But this is like a 2000s horror trope as well, just like ghostly, not even just ghostly kids, but like ghostly grey, sunken-eyed people who just like appear in the middle of the road or just appear in a mirror.
And they've all got a terribly like Oliver accent. Please, sir, I'd like some more.
Bloody hell, I'm a ghost!
I'm a ghost, I'm so angry.
Oh, okay. So it looks like, so I'm looking at the cast now, and I was a bit like, oh, her name's Kim, playing someone called Kim. Everyone, all the actors play.
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, I've just noticed that. Did you notice?
When I was watching the credits, I was like, everyone else is credited as an actor, and then they're all credited as their names. I was like, oh, okay.
But you see, but obviously the director was all like, yeah, so I want to keep it real, guys, all right? Okay? And now I know this is a movie, but to me it's life. So all of you guys need to be playing characters. It's just going to be your real names. It's going to be believable. You could just imagine that on set. Can you just imagine it?
You are Kim. I am Kim, but you are Kim. But I am.
Yeah, I am Kim.
You're
yeah,
Goth.
but you know.
Are you with Goth in real life? You are now.
Oh yeah, that is another thing, isn't it? Because you kind of do hope that she would be a goth in real life. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? No. I imagine if you're not a goth, it'd be fun to play a goth, wouldn't it? So yeah, there are some. So I'm just looking here in a note. There's like archive footage based on fictionalized versions of themselves, and there's obviously bits from film critics talking about the Blair Witch Project as well. So yeah, it definitely exists in terms of just as a movie, original movie, didn't it? Yeah. So yeah, this is just set, I think the year after the footage was found, or the same year that the movie came out, 1999. So tourists and fans of the Blair Witch Project descend on the small town of Burkittsville, Maryland, where the film was set, and local resident, Jesus, Jeff. And it says a former psychiatric patient and obsessed fan orchestrates a group tour of locations featured in the film. I don't like, and you tell me where you stand on this, I don't like when a film starts, and obviously this film starts with like people in custody with police, and police like going, tell us what happened. And there's like a flashback and it tells you what happened. I don't like that. Because I know that we're going to eventually get there. And I mean, very, very rarely it works and you go, okay, it's gone full circle now. I like it. But I think a film like this, it doesn't earn it. And the fact that we get that, and all the psychiatric patient stuff was weird. I didn't really know what was going on. He had a load of toothpaste in his mouth at one point, didn't he?
Some baking soda. I was like,
even
that is a really long tube that they're putting in his nose. And I'm thinking, like, I don't think that would fit in his nose. Like, it's really thick.
What did that add to it?
I like that's the sort of stuff that just didn't need to be in it. Like the flashbacks, flash forwards, like you have to, like you're saying, like you have to earn those like full circle moments. Like they have to definitely be earned in a film. And I just thought, this is just too easy. You're trying to make it too edgy. Like it would have been fine if you just hadn't bothered. Like
there was a lot of weird stuff. I feel like they need to strip away all the complicated stuff, like the flashbacks. No, the fact that this guy was in a psychiatric unit. No, the fact that Kim the goth was like a bit of a sidekick for some reason.
Yeah, like the way that it was like, if you're gonna do a flashback like that, obviously like make it shorter and make it more like a shot, like a scare, like a jump scare, like. I make it like darker. Like he's like in a white padded room. Like that's not.
It was proper music.
It was proper
music video.
didn't Alanis
You know when
Morissette
someone
do a video with like a
yeah.
straight
You know when someone like
shot?
rushes around with a straitjacket and then they speed it up. So they're like oh god. But again, it's 2000, so you probably were like, wow, this
well,
is
one
great.
of the producers MTV for this, I swear that I saw that in the credits. Like, because that would explain so much.
Produced by Bill
Or it was like it had some
Carrero.
had some kind of MTV like
oh, okay.
influence, maybe. I don't know, like
well, yeah, maybe it
or
did,
maybe they're like MTV News was one of the newscasters like recorded like commenting on it
yeah,
at
possibly.
the beginning, because then I was like, this is very MTV early 2000s, late 90s, like
yeah,
the whole thing.
it just felt like that. It just that's the thing. It was like it's a popular movie, and we're just gonna like go right down the middle with everything that's kind of like mainstream and popular and very 2000s. Oh yeah, is that a goatee or is it like a soul patch?
No, it's like a 90s goatee, like
yeah.
you can literally like that
spiky hair
shot that you have is like, oh, that film was made in the late 90s, early 2000s. There it
and
is.
why is he telling everyone to make coffee for him all the time? Really rudely.
Coffee, if he likes coffee so much, why is his coffee
why is it in the fridge?
And why is it in the fridge? It is out of date.
Who's keeping coffee grounds in the fridge out of date? Yeah, who's he think he is? He's one of those people who's made coffee his personality. We all know someone like that. Sorry, don't speak to me till I've had my coffee. No, I haven't had my coffee yet. Out the way. Like a mug which just says like, I don't know, cut me and I bleed. Arabica beans. I don't know. Wait, is that coffee? I don't know.
Well, there's like those mugs that are like, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee.
Yeah, that
you lift
exactly
it up
that.
And it says UNT underneath.
UNT. Oh Jesus, that's completely different. I thought you were going to say lift up. It says you can speak now. No, UNT underneath it. Yeah, that's weird. And then there's like a woman who's like she's like a witch, but like a daughter of a minister, and
and then doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist, and she like inappropriately gets horny with one guy. Although was that like a dream sequence?
Oh my god, that literally came out of nowhere.
I was like, what the fuck? He's like, I'm absolutely devastated because this terrible thing's happened. We just lost our baby, and she's like,
she just had a miscarriage.
And then she goes, well, you haven't had one, so sort me out. It's amazing.
I was like,
wait, when I say amazing, I mean
that escalated quickly. His character had no like.
Also, that guy, no disrespect to this guy. That guy. How old is he? Everyone else kind of seems. Is this man 45?
I thought he was like the parent.
What are you doing hanging around with all these kids? What are you doing hanging around with all these kids? Is this another thing where we've perceived the year 2000 he's actually 16? And we've just gone, he's bloody ancient. Okay, so obviously, what's his face? Jeff is doing the tour locations. All these people who are meeting are like graduate students, and Stephen and his pregnant girlfriend Tristine are researching like mythology, mass hysteria to like write about this Blair Witch thing. They haven't even agreed on the title of it. They're like mythology and hysteria, and he's like, mythology or hysteria, you twat. So they've obviously paid Jeff to like take him to the locations featured in the film in Burkittsville, and they think he's been doing it for ages, but it's actually the very first tour, because on the website he's written hundreds of customers satisfied, when in fact that's just because he's been selling a load of dirt, handful of dirt, and
a load of dirt,
and a bloody stick figure, and
and some t-shirts.
I mean, to be fair, he's making the best out of
He's got a lot of stock when they go back to his house.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He got no coffee and literally no food in the house. But these people are the worst. These people are the worst guests as well, because as soon as they go to his house, it's not really a house. Didn't they say it's like an abandoned something warehouse or something like that?
It is too cool for that guy to live there. Like when they arrived, I was like, he did not do this. This is no.
But they're the worst house guests ever. They literally like rude as fuck. I was also thinking, hang on a minute, they've paid for this tour. Why have they suddenly decided to just keep it as house? Oh, I guess it's the miscarriage and that sort of keeps them there. That's a really weird plot point, isn't it? That's a weird and unnecessary plot point. Why does that have to happen? One of could have just like twisted her ankle or something. Oh, I've twisted my ankle. I gotta go to the hospital or I need to go and lie down. No, they made a horrible miscarriage subplot.
And then it really irritated me because the hospital scene, the nurse is dressed really like
Oh yeah, you
old
said that, didn't
fashioned.
you?
Like the nurse's uniform is like from decades
Oh,
before. So it's
maybe
like
that was. Do you reckon that was
it's
maybe done on purpose, or is this? Are
yeah,
we?
but it doesn't. There's nothing else to kind of follow it up. Like it's really like a singular thing.
Yeah.
That like is she like an old, like kind of like a Nurse Ratchet kind of like that kind of era of nurse, and then you're just like, oh, that's just weird. That's just a weird costume choice that they thought,
Yeah.
yeah, just make her in a
But it
1950s,
could have come back to that. Do you know what I
nurse
mean?
uniform.
It's another thing because the Blair Witch does all the time loop stuff so well.
Yeah,
But like subtly, could have easily done something like that if it wanted to. But
yeah,
maybe it did, but it was just never clear, was it?
and then
So
maybe they cut bits out. I don't know.
so Kim, the goth, they meet up with her. She's like lying on a grave, smoking a Lambert and Butler.
I love how she's got like one leg up and one leg down. She's like every teenage boy that likes metal and rock. Like they were like, we need to lie you in this position.
Yeah, that's right. That's how she would lie on a grave as well,
On a
obviously.
grave, yeah,
And
yeah,
she's like, I've
yeah.
been driving for 2 days. Didn't she say something like that?
Where'd she come from?
Where did she come from? Where did she go? Where did she come from? Goth girl Kim. She came from somewhere, but now she's arrived, and they're all So basically, this whole tour is just walking around the woods for a bit. Then they bump into like some other people who are on a different tour. Like
Terrible characterization.
I can't remember. Were they like so essentially they're tourists and they were Asian, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a German tourist.
and a German
On her
tourist,
own.
and then the guy like didn't Jeff? I can't remember what Jeff said to the other guy who was like doing the tour. Get off my patch, you twat.
The tree, the disappearing tree.
It's a shit tour, isn't it? It's a shit tour. Put some effort in, for God's sake, Jeff. You're literally just wandering around the woods with a camera and then going, this tree didn't used to be here, but now it is. And they do all go like, oh, spooky. We're scared.
Why would they have a tree in the middle of the house?
Oh, it's just shitting it. But this is the thing. I kind of thought with this film originally, like, okay, they're going to spend the night in the woods or right by Rustin Parr's house, the ruins of Rustin Parr's house. So Rustin Parr, in the Blair Witch legend, was a fella, like a hermit man, who lived in the forest, abducted 7 kids and killed them in like the 1940s, murdered them all in his basement which was the house.
Victorian too.
They weren't from the Victorian age. No.
But that's what they dressed them as.
Well, I don't know if it was even supposed to be that. Well, I guess so. Yeah, 40s. When was the 40s? Well, we've got to do them in black and white because all the photos we got from there was in black and white. So the world must have just been black and white. Okay, that's how it worked. So yeah, so the whole thing about that is that he murdered them in his basement. He said the Blair Witch told him to do it, and he killed them in twos because he didn't like one looking at the other when he killed him. So he got one to stand in the corner and then killed the other one. And that's obviously the famous shot at the end of the original Blair Witch Project where a guy stood in the corner and then suddenly the person holding the camera gets clunked, KO'd. And again, I like that. I think that's really good. It's good because it establishes that early on that that's what Rustin Parr did. And that by the time this happens in the final scene, you're the person putting it together and going, oh shit, just like that. Oh my God. So what is killing it? What is killing them? Is it the Blair Witch? Is it Rustin Parr? What the fuck? Don't know. The film ends. That is great. I think it's just done really well and it's genuinely like creepy. Whereas this, the fact that they spend the night in the woods, the same woods which everybody in the first film get lost in and can't get out of for days on end. This one, they just go, yeah, we just spent the night and now we're going back home. That's it. It's so inconsequential.
They don't just spend the night. They, appear to, yeah.
Well, they don't, well, we don't think they do originally. We just think they have a standard base. Okay.
They black out. They all black out.
if you're making a film, Lauren, in the early 2000s, and all your characters are doing drugs, doing marijuana, what song can you choose to represent this the best?
Oh, I don't. It's gonna be Queen of the Stone Age.
Queens of the Stone Age, Feel Good Hit of the Summer.
Okay.
All of the drugs written down. The most edgy song that's ever been written, all right? Okay, Josh Homme wrote this at the end of a 4-day bender. I bet he did. I bet he's like, really, I can't even list what I've been taking. I'm gonna
Yes,
list
I
it.
can.
I'm gonna list it in lyric form. It's just the editing, the effects on the camera, the sort of like juddery, whooshing around. One of them at one point, I was like, "Is that crack pipe? What the fuck? What's going on? Calm the fuck down." I don't think it was a crack pipe, but still, for a second, I did think it was a crack pipe. Calm the fuck down, Jeff. Jesus. And they all fall asleep and pass out. Yeah, but when they awake, it's snowing or something. It's so it's like
I
all
thought
paper like falling down.
the
Yeah.
first time I was like, and then you know when
Okay.
you're like watching it, you're like, right, okay, not snow, ash, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like dissertation, PhD or whatever. Like
His dissertation that he's only got one copy of, paper form. He's not got it saved anywhere. He's not got it on a floppy disk or anything like that.
let me get out my typewriter.
I've taken every single piece of paper with me on this trip, even though I know I'm going to be sleeping outside, and it could rain, could get soggy, and now it's just been shredded into dust. Like,
also, is there a shredder? Did I see a shredder?
It's incredibly shredded, isn't it? Because it didn't do it.
I swear I saw a shredder.
Oh, like, what? For real?
I don't know if I was just at this point of the film.
I
reckon. What is happening here?
The filmmakers accidentally left it in shot,
and they're like dancing around.
Dancing around with the shredder. I don't remember that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was in. Or they've got like some hamsters nearby or little guinea pigs to shred up the paper. Come on, get on with it. We got to do the next shot. Oh, but I've already done so much. Hurry up.
I'm not getting paid for this.
Slave labor, animal labor. So yeah, they camp for the night. They wake up, that happens. Everyone kicks off going nuts. Everyone's over the top in this, and they, oh my god.
There is a lot of demonstrating.
Yeah.
In terms of acting.
And is now when they find those tapes? I think it is.
Oh yeah, and then Kim is like, the tapes are under that floorboard in that corner that no one would ever find.
It's just so unnecessary. I don't understand the point of it.
By the owl.
So yeah, Jeff's cameras have like been destroyed essentially, and obviously he's fuming. But he's like, where are my tapes? My tapes are gone as well. And she goes, oh yeah, it's the owl, isn't it? The owl with weird human eyes. She goes, those tapes, they're under the floorboards just there. How would you know that? I just know, okay? Like, that's not how anybody communicates. Like, if you thought that, you'd go, why don't you just check under those floorboards there? Have you checked under there? Sorry? No, I haven't. Why? Just have a little look. I don't know. You wouldn't say, I just know, right? Because I'm fucking psychic. Because no one would go, all right. It's just not normal.
I know, that's why it's so bad, because the dialogue is so terrible. Because they're like, what are you telling me? Well, I'm telling you this. It's like,
exactly that, isn't it? Like, okay. Why is everyone else angry? Like, I can understand the guy being angry because his dissertation's been shredded. And the guy with the cameras have been shredded as fuming as well. Everyone else is just off the nut as well. Plus, if you'd had a night where you've been, drinking, smoking, and you'd passed out, no one would wake up with that much energy.
Oh my
you'd
God,
wake up like
in the woods when it's been cold.
Yeah. What do they do? Just sleep in they literally barebacked. They had a bareback night out where they just no coverage, no tents. They didn't have tents, did they? Did they have tents?
I don't know. I can't remember if there was tents.
They literally slept in sleeping bags on the cold, dry earth, like The Last of Us. But this isn't a fucking apocalypse. This is They could sleep in a hotel if they wanted to.
I mean, I've been to festivals. It's cold at night.
Yeah, it
With
really
a little
is.
Princess Leia that I take.
Princess what?
I take a little lair, like when I go camping.
I thought you said a Princess Leia.
Yeah.
I'll take a little Princess Leia with me.
Princess Leia. Princess Leia.
Carry on Fisher? What? She's dead.
I've just got
I'll
a
take a
gold
little Princess
bikini
Leia
every
with
time
me.
I go to a festival.
Jesus. And I guarantee there's a Jabba the Hutt-like figure at a festival as well. Come here! Chain you up the first chance he gets.
Anyway, we digress.
So yeah, find those tapes, and then they go back to Jeff's place. Oh no, well they don't go back to Jeff's place initially because Tristine, the young lady this is the thing. Kim asks her how far along she is, pregnant wise, and what does she say?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Is she? Do you have a baby bump at 6 weeks? Don't think so.
Oh.
But how does Kim know then? My name's Kim, right? Forget clear blue pregnancy tests. You don't need them. Okay, waste of money. Sometimes people take more than one pregnancy test just to be sure. Fuck that. Get me round, and I'll know immediately. Have you got any VHS tapes missing as well? I'll find them too. Don't worry about it.
Any owls? I'll find you an owl.
Any owls? I'm hungry for an owl. So yeah, obviously it establishes that Tristan's pregnant, and then not long after that, she's bleeding from downstairs area, and they rush her to the Burkittsville hospital where she suffers a miscarriage. Now this is kind of weird because she sees like a girl, like a weird sort of like specter of a girl when she's there. The nurse is in like old nurse outfit. Am I kind of thinking that I kind of thought it would be interesting if they were kind of suggesting that they haven't actually officially left the sort of spooky haunted woods. They're still in this world, like a sort of Silent Hill like world or something like that. But I don't think it commits to that well enough because there are other characters that exist in this place as well.
What is that little spooky girl about? I mean, she did shit me up a little bit because I just don't like little girl ghosts.
Little girl ghost. Do you know what? If you can say anything good about it, there's that ghost and the one that like scares her boyfriend a little bit later when he opens the thing and it's on the bridge.
Yeah, the same girl ghost. Ugh.
Kind of effective, and I know I already mentioned some of the games, but some of there were like PC games in the early 2000s, like the Blair Witch, something about Rustin Parr, and it was all set in the past. You were kind of like a police detective in I don't know what year, sort of investigating these murders. Well, yeah, I guess the 40s then, if that makes sense. It must have been the 40s. In my head, I'm thinking it was earlier than that. So those little Victorian kids throw me off. But there were these weird, like ghostly little specters that would like come into the frame, and sometimes you'd open a door and a ghost would like just like pass through you or like just go off into a corner. It was really spooky. So I think of everything, that is the only thing that's like effective of this film. Those little spooky little girl ghosts.
I don't know why it goes like I love Haunting of Hill House, but I had to watch it in the daytime because I was living in Thailand at the time, so I watched it on my phone because I was terrified.
Oh wow.
That's
how it's meant to be seen.
That really shit me up. I can't watch it on a big screen. It's too scary.
Well, yeah, because all the ghosts are in the background, aren't they?
I'm like, don't like it.
It's a bloody ghost over there. So yeah, when she's discharged, for some reason, the group goes back to Jeff's house because Jeff, who is only really just taking them on a tour that they've played it, could easily say, "Right, I'm off home now. See you later. Good, safe journey back wherever you're going." For some reason, he's like, they're like, "We're coming to your gaff which is like a factory converted into some sort of."
It reminded me of The Crow slightly, but like a
early
2000s like homage to The Crow with that big window at the back.
Yeah, bit of a gothic, like chains hanging everywhere. It's got it's got like
industrial.
Very industrial. It's got like a mezzanine.
Yeah.
So Tristine, who's had the miscarriage, goes and rests, and the group go and review Jeff's tapes. And while they're reviewing the tapes, they go, she's bloody naked in here. She's starkers. She's absolutely, whatever words are there for naked. She's in her birthday suit over here.
In the bath.
She's in the bath. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. In the bath. And of course, Erica's like, I was never naked. That's a complete lie and fabrication. Have you done that? You dirty pervert. So she's like spinning around. So apparently it's a tree, but I was like, stripper pole? Because it was so tall.
It was so pole-like. It was like,
I was like, why is there a stripper pole appeared?
yeah.
And
Where did
of
that
course
come from?
it's like in the place of where that big tree was before. Yeah. And here it says, distraught, Erica claims she has no memory of the event and goes into another room to pray. Did she?
Oh, she puts all the like the Wicca stuff out, and she starts like.
If I was Jeff, I'd be like, listen. Okay. Now I know you've all experienced a group tragedy. One of your friends had a miscarriage. That's terrible. I'm letting you stay in my place, stay in my house, but also my place of work, free of charge, for the rest of the day and evening. Don't go making little Wiccan, whatever you're doing. Does she make a fire as well? Don't do that. That's rude.
Candles. There's always loads of candles in these places.
Yeah. You don't just go in someone's house and do that, do you? And I think around about now, Kim notices she's got like a horrible, dirty rash on her back, like
yeah,
syphilis. And Erica's got the rash as well, but hers are more like symbols, aren't they?
Yeah.
And she sort of says, we've all been marked for death now because of this, because of these icons on our bodies. I don't know. Weird, isn't it?
Doesn't the guy have them on his chest? And then
the guy's got them on his chest, and then there's like a weird dream sequence where she like tries to shag him and then like scratches him. And then they both just like wake up at the table. That was bloody weird. I'll tell you what was weird, right? Even if it was a dream sequence, weird that you're getting involved in some sort of sexual scenario with a young lady while your girlfriend's in the next room having just had a miscarriage, and you're like distraught, but you're like, I am distraught, but I gotta admit, I'm horny. Sort me out. But yeah, it's just a dream sequence, so it's fine. Ignore that. It's absolutely fine.
yeah, because he gives in way too easily.
He does, and all it takes is just like a bit of massaging.
Massage.
She's like, massage it because that feels good. It feels really fucking
like,
good, actually. It's insane. I mean, even if it's a dream, I do kind of hate like dream sequences when they happen like almost like live in the middle of a scene, because I understand it's supposed to be like a supernatural thing and perhaps your mind's altered in some way, but I don't know, it just takes me out because I feel like it's only ever used as a mechanism to make the audience go, well, this is a bit out of sorts. I'm not sure what I'm making this.
This character is a little unhinged.
Yeah, and then immediately take you out of it and go, well, that was kind of pointless.
That's what they were thinking of doing to that person. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, but still, I'm not sure if I'd buy it.
Quite popular. I've seen it in quite a lot of things recently.
Oh yeah, it's used a hell of a lot. I just don't know if I like it.
No, it takes me out a little bit.
Yeah, like when a character murders another character and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe this has just happened. And then they'll like snap out of it and go, I was just thinking about murdering that person.
Yeah.
I just go, like, oh, fuck off. Because then you've garnered like an extreme response from me. And it's just, yeah, bullshit. So yeah, around about now is when Kim is like looking for some alcohol and coffee and
that little corner shop, but it's like, again, maybe
this
for the
is
time loop,
mad.
like the guy is like fixing the drinks thing, and then the lady with the trolley like rams into her.
I feel like we're making too much of the time loop. I feel like this film has disregarded that as an option. We're looking into it thinking, oh, it could be this. This just proves it. So she goes to go in, and like, the three kids outside the place say to her, all right, Morticia, I got something you could was it? I got something you could suck the blood out of. Jesus.
He's like 12.
Yeah. And she says, whip it out then. She does say that. Yeah, and it's just like inside the shop is the most unnecessarily judgmental and aggressive everyone. Like hate goths. Oh, what's that? Dressed all in black, are you, you slag? And then the person working there, it's just weird. The dialogue's very strange, isn't it? The dialogue's
Yeah,
just too
the way
much.
she like flicks her like name.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's really gonna provoke her.
Ring it up.
Bring it up.
Because it's weird because it seems like no one wants a server. I guess it's almost like, is it because she's involved with Jeff, who's like bringing, or she's an outsider coming in because of the Blair Witch stuff, but also on top of that, a bloody goth. There's even a weird bit where like the sheriff later on says to her like, "You think wearing black makeup and black clothes gives you some sort of power, do you?"
Oh yeah,
What?
because he makes her remove it, doesn't he? He makes her remove all the like makeup when
Put
she's
this
running around.
put this flowery dress on. Do your hair up in pigtails. Come on, you
Call yourself Peggy.
you goth.
Here's the name badge.
Peggy. Oh yeah, Peggy, poor Peggy. So yeah, she buys the beer, and then when she leaves, like the kids like throw rocks at the van,
Then she
smashing.
crashes into the tree, but then is able to drive away.
She crashes into, right. So this is what I thought. She crashes into, so the ghosts of these Victorian children appear in the street, and she like swerves out the way. I feel like that van belonged to somebody, on set, and they were like, "Oh, we got to crash the van now," and they've gone, "Oh, don't! I love that van," and they've gone, "We'll crash it incredibly slowly. Okay, we'll crash it so slowly that to the naked eye it will appear like it'll feel like it's not crashing, because it literally goes, I reckon, about 5 miles an hour into that tree, maybe even less. Boom. And
And
I
the
think she
sound
even said
effect is like,
boom, and I think she even says, "Oh, sorry, I dented your fender," but I'm like, did you? It looks fine.
yeah.
um
She literally just starts it straight back up. There's no like, it's
no.
just like, sure, yep, sure, cool, bye bye.
And when she gets back to the place, there's like a nail file in the bottles of beer, which like belonged to Peggy, and she like
They
stabs
are
her
not
hand
that
on it.
sharp. They are not that
I mean,
sharp.
if it was like completely propped up, and you put your hand in there like that, I can imagine. But she, yeah, be careful.
I
Um,
thought she'd like cut it on the ring, like the
I thought maybe like one of the bottles of beer had smashed because she just had a car crash.
yeah.
That would have made
That would make
sense.
way more sense.
Yeah. Anyway,
Not
so
true story.
I think she explains to Jeff, "Oh, sorry, I did crash your car, crash your van a bit." I wouldn't even say anything. That's such a minor crash. I'd go, I had a completely fine eventless drive to the shop.
Yeah, she doesn't even talk about his back window being smashed in.
No,
It's just the fender.
exactly. That's what he goes, "Coffee, get me a coffee."
And they
Make
go
me
all the
a
way to the
coffee.
shop. Doesn't get any coffee.
Yeah. Oh, she does. She does bring a thing of coffee out, doesn't she? Because then he goes,
But I
"Where's
think
my
it's the
bloody
stuff that's
coffee?"
already in the fridge.
Oh yeah, that's what I'd do. If he asked me like that, I'd give him the old shit. And then the next morning, this is weird because I kind of thought it was just going to be an all night thing, this film. And then when a horror film feels like that, and then suddenly it goes the next morning, it is always a bit of a shock. You're like, oh, okay. You feel a bit safe for a second, don't you? And he goes, "Oh, you smashed me smashed me fender in, did you?" Let's have a little look out the window and see how the van's doing. Jesus Christ! It's literally like,
She did not drive
it.
that bad.
The person whose van it was on set went, "Whoo!" Got away with it there, and they've gone, "What's the next scene?" Oh, for fuck's sake! Van is obliterated beyond any. It's a write off, I'm afraid. And he's
A
gone,
massive write-off.
I love that van. So this stuff's sort of interesting where it starts to isolate them, and this was kind of interesting because it was a bit like the Evil Dead or any of the Evil Dead films where you're stuck in a place, but now you can't get away, because I think one of them like witnessed or visualizes the bridge being missing, like from
it falls down, and then
That's right.
the guy that's really old, I can't remember any of their names. The guy that's older is like got amazing upper body strength until the last very moment when he's like, "Help me!" Like literally, when I watched it, he was like, "Oh yeah," like climbing up the bits really quickly, and then right at the end, he's like, "Help me! I can't get up."
You know what he did? He used up all his adrenaline. He used
Yeah,
all
sure.
his adrenaline up, and he got to the end. He went, "My adrenaline's on zero."
I need some burgers.
Yeah. So yeah.
And
What
the dog door alarm, like really
Oh
confused
yeah.
me.
Super confused me. It was so. I think from this point onwards, I
It's a fever
was
dream.
I was baffled by everything, every distinguishable thing, because it just doesn't feel like the fact that they stay in the woods that feels Blair Witch, but from there onwards, it just feels like any generic 2000s horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like the remake of House on Haunted Hill, where there are loads of like weird wobbly ghosts. It just kind of felt like that, and I guess it was kind of more rather than there being like an actual external threat coming to attack everybody. It was almost like all of it was like psychological, I guess,
Yeah.
or like turning the
Really
characters
strange.
on each other. Yeah,
Yeah. It just like really escalated and you're like,
yeah.
uh
One thing that these films like to do, and they do it next, is a character will vanish, and then everybody just goes, "We've got to find this person immediately. If we don't find them, who knows what's happened?" So I think it's so Erica, the witch girl, is the one who's missing, and they're like all searching the house.
it's the
And
way that Jeff looks in the cupboard
oh yeah,
to begin with, and then obviously
ah,
like yeah, like he's like, no one's here. And then I was like, okay, because at first I was like, why is he looking in the fucking cupboard?
yeah.
Like,
But don't they
it's like,
ring like her dad at his office as well?
oh
Like
yeah, and then like
I feel like in
she
any
doesn't
scenario,
exist.
right, in any scenario where someone's gone missing, what like at what point are you going to ring their parents? I feel like if someone's gone missing, you call the police before you call their parents, right?
Yeah.
Like imagine you were like in a foreign country and someone's gone missing and you ring their dad like in uh Luton, all right? Just to let you know, daughter's missing. Don't know if you've seen her, have you? What? No, well, no, because I'm miles away. What are you ringing me for? But this point is it serves only to give us that shock of him going, I have no children. And
Yeah.
it raises so many questions. I'm like, why have they got his number?
Yeah,
Why do
how
they
did
know?
he get his
Why do they
number?
know who he is? Because you
Oh,
meet you.
she does say,
Oh,
Erica
she does
does say
say
who her dad is.
it's
She
just
said he's
weird.
some kind of minister.
It's just
Uh
weird.
yeah.
Um,
And then the owl.
but
The owl.
Owl is obviously looking in occasionally. Then I guess Kim eating it is a dream sequence as well, right?
It just like bursts through the door, but then it's the
Dead.
window, but it's like half in flight, and it's like just a stuffed owl, like ah.
Bad taxidermy.
Yeah, my
Um,
favorite type of taxidermy.
yeah, it's definitely the best.
Another
Uh,
subject for another day.
so what else is happening? Tristan's like off his nut, so that's the older guy. He's doing some weird stuff. He's seeing some weird stuff. The county sheriff Craven's interesting name.
His
He
accent is the worst.
yeah, he's got like a perfect triangle smashed out of his front two teeth as well. Like someone's just come at him with a Toblerone, a miniature Toblerone, rock hard, straight out of the fridge. Bang! Have that. Yeah, he calls Jeff to inform him that remember that other tour group? Yeah, they've been found. They've been found disemboweled on Coffin Rock. I know it was you, you twat.
Look, turn on the on the news, and he's like, "It was you. Look at me. I'm on the
Oh
telly."
yeah, he's on the telly. Yeah, that's good though. I like
He's
that.
like, "I'll catch you, boy. I
I'd love.
got your number now."
I'd love to do that. I'd love to threaten someone through the TV. That'd be great. Imagine knowing you're on TV for some reason. Right, get him on the blower right now. I'm in the background of this shot. Get him to turn on to Channel 4. Fuck you! I'm coming for you, you wanker. I love it.
Oh, his accent.
So that's
Brilliant.
unfortunate, isn't it?
And that's like
Um,
another weird little plot. Like, there's this tension between the sheriff and Jeff, and it's been going on since he was like 9 or whatever.
9. But again, like that's a nice little addition. But I feel like just they should have just dialed into the more interesting stuff more than like all this weird shit where people. It just seems like one of the characters ends up wandering around this place, seeing stuff and finding different weird things. Kim finds like these dossiers, like surveillance dossiers on her and
Oh
herself, as
yeah.
if it's like supposed to mean that they've been chosen for this.
Like
But again,
targeted, yeah.
these are all like tiny little drip fed bits of information that go nowhere. They go,
But they're
oh yeah,
so
this,
throwaway, like they're so like irrelevant. Like either make a really big deal out of it or
yeah,
just don't bother.
yeah. It's almost like every sequence has to have a moment where we go, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But then the next scene, you're like, what was that again? What happened?
Was that what?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Jeff says he has no idea about those dossiers, and then not long after that is when they find Erica's corpse in a closet. Say corpse in a closet, definitely stood up, unsupported. They even turn her around. He turned her around like that, and she's like,
yeah, she looks like she's on a pivot.
first of all, I'd be going, oh my shit, oh, holy shit, are you all right? And if she was dead, I'd be like, what's going on here? Has she been propped up?
There was like no reaction to that either as well. They're just like, oh, here she is. We found her.
Yeah. I mean, everyone sort of screams, but yeah. And then some more cliches that we lean into is the fact that I think they go and play Jeff's tapes now in reverse. So obviously that's a bit of a cliche in anything, and anything to do with demonic rituals or anything, you know, play the music backwards, play the tape backwards, play this, we'll get the true meaning of it. And for some reason, when they play these tape backwards, it like unlocks the footage rather than being like, well, this is just the same footage backwards. It unlocks it and it goes, actually, here's all the real footage. And this basically them when they blacked out
and have a massive orgy.
It's a weird sort of like demonic ritual dance. It's like a music video, but I guess it's a bit more 80s. It says here they had a frenzied orgy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. There was a lot of, I couldn't tell what was going on.
I like how Erica's wig hair slash was like stuck to her chest, so you couldn't see any.
Doing that.
Like it was like perfectly stuck.
What's your hair doing? Stuck to your nipples. Let's have a look. No, I'm too busy here using this tiny thin tree as a pole.
And then the classic like slasher scene.
Yeah, so basically it shows that they were murdering the other tour group at Coffin Rock, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it all of them or was it just Jeff or?
I think all of them. But it's like I just from somebody that knows how to kind of do special effects stuff. I'm like learning how to do it myself. There's just like the bit where they stab that person's stomach and it like doesn't do anything and they just do this and then like the prosthetic just goes
the prosthetic moves as well. That's what a stomach does, all right? That's what a stomach does.
Just put a red filter over it and put some blood on it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's very filtered and it's not very good. The gore is not that impressive. I did forget to mention though earlier on there was a bit where Erica, before they left, when they were at like the Rustin Parr bit, she like put something in the water, didn't she? And kind of like said,
there's a scene with Tristine that goes into the water. It's a dream.
But there was a bit earlier where Erica like put something in the water and it was like some sort of clothing or something like that. I can't remember. There was
like a dream to signify the miscarriage before it happens, and it's like just putting a cloth in the water and then it bubbles and then there's like
that was a dream, was it?
Yeah, there's like a baby crying.
I feel like when you do so many dream sequences, it gets a bit confusing. Did that happen or did that not happen? Oh, it's just a dream sequence. Duh. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I should have followed this.
Where's she going?
Should have followed this film a little bit easier. Okay, so after they watch that tape, they like go and confront Tristine. Oh yeah, because I think it says here that the demonic ritual and frenzied orgy was led by Tristine. So I don't know whether they watch the footage and they go, "Oh, we're doing some awful shit in there." But did you notice one thing? What's that? Tristine made it all happen. Let's go fuck him up.
Yeah, because Tristine's the girl. She has the boy's name.
Like, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Tristine is
she's like in a black
the girl
cloak.
Who had the miscarriage. Like, that's right. She's in a black cloak. God damn it! It's obviously all done by her, wasn't it? So yeah, they go and confront her. So initially she's like pleading, "No, don't hurt me, leave me alone." But then she starts like goading them as if she's So I guess, are we supposed to believe that in the similar sense that Rustin Parr was like convinced by the Blair Witch to kill the kids at Coffin Rock, we're now supposed to believe that Tristine was somehow convinced and used as a puppet to make everybody else have, I don't know. Definitely. I feel like I'm filling in the blanks that probably make it sound better than it actually is. Right, yeah. So I think they become
there has to be some kind of connection to these.
Yeah, because they become convinced that she's the Blair Witch, and yeah, so they're blaming her for Erica's death as well. And then so this is weird because she ties a rope around her neck, taunts Stephen, basically says like, "I dare you to push me," and in a fit of rage, he does push her over the balcony, kills her. She hangs herself.
That's horrific.
I think any sort of like hanging scenes are pretty intense, aren't they? Like The Omen and stuff like that. I think just like the act of somebody, like if you're falling a decent way and like get the neck break and everything as well, it's pretty intense. But yeah, so essentially, because essentially he does kill her, but then it's kind of framed in a way that obviously everyone gets arrested because of the death of her, and everyone claims that, oh, it's Tristine and he was responsible. But then they've like got loads of video footage, like security cameras that kind of like show the opposite. So what we've seen is completely different to like what's actually happened. Like, so we see security camera footage of Kim killing the store cashier with the nail file, rather than just leaving like she did. Like, see you later, you bitch. She stabbed her to death with the nail file. And then Jeff's like monitors that he's got cameras all around the place. He's got Erica's body, and for some reason he's also naked
with his very 90s tattoo.
Right, I've done a murder, right? Yeah. I've murdered this woman, and now she's naked. I've taken her clothes. I'm gonna hide her in the cupboard. I'm gonna be naked too, so I don't get any clothing, like little bits of fibers.
He was like, "We need a bum shot."
What is this tattoo? I didn't notice it.
It's like I think it was like an
tribal
kind of a shape. Like, it reminded me of kind of like 90s tattoo kind of.
Has he got a tramp? Was it a tramp stamp?
No, it's like halfway. Like, it's kind of like here.
Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, we get all of that, and then there's like the DV camera footage which Jeff is filming, which shows like Tristine getting hung, but this time she's like pleading for her life, and she's like, and they all angrily are all around her, like accusing her of being a witch, and kind of like enjoy pushing her and killing her. So it's obviously all completely different. It's all very juxtaposed to what we see in the film, and then now what really happened. So they were all under the influence of the witch, and Tristine was completely innocent in the situation.
And Erica is innocent as well, I assume.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So
and it does a classic pan drone shot. Well, it probably was a helicopter back then. Of a autumnal
easy for you to say.
Autumnal woods with the like, might as well have just been placebo, really.
Yeah. No, what was it?
It wasn't placebo.
I can't remember what it was, but then after a little bit later into the credits at the drive-in, Ark Arsenal was playing. So I was like, yeah, this is a good song like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could kind of see people arriving and mourning in the woods, mourning the group that was murdered, I guess. It'd be so weird though, wouldn't it? Where if you go like, oh, remember that Blair Witch? Yeah. Well, there was a fictional film about some people who went missing, and then a year later, loads of people got murdered as well because of something. I don't know.
They were like, get out of my town.
It's just really missing that like Blair Witch element, like the actual Blair Witch element, like the supernatural presence of the Blair Witch making these things happen, orchestrating these things is just completely absent for like 90% of the film.
Yeah.
It's kind of like spoken about at the start, but then I just think it's a missed opportunity, to be fair. There we go. And then it ends. That's it. Ends, and we get some more new metal as well.
It was very Cruel Intentions ending.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. and you can have any member of the Cruel Intentions cast in this. I mean, they're probably too good for this, but they'd probably fit right in.
Yeah.
What a weird film.
That
What a
was
bloody weird film.
it was very much like a fever dream.
A fever. It was a fever dream. Indeed, it was. Okay, so that is Blair Witch. No, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. I've got some name game for you. Do you know how the name game works, or shall I explain it to you?
Or explain it to me.
Okay. Fucking hell. I'm notoriously not very good at this. It's usually Andy's thing, but I tried to commit to it when it does. So basically, I'll give you a plot of a movie which sounds a bit like Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. However, the plot I describe will be slightly different, and the title will only sound a bit like Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So like I'm only changing like one or two of the words in there. So for example, I'm just gonna give you an example. This isn't one of them, but say if I describe the film as a group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project to explore the mythology, and they find out actually the Blair Witch, she's all right, and she's quite this might as well be one of them actually. This is my example, but this is one of them. Actually the witch is all right and completely within understanding of the act she's committing. The act she's committing makes sense in a way. What kind of witch is she? She's being I'm trying to think of the word. I'll try to explain. She's being completely impartial and just without favoritism or discrimination on who she's killing.
Literally like
It's the Fair Witch. Book of Shadows, Fair Witch. She's being fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you didn't get that one, my explanation one, I wish you all the best with the next ones I've got. Okay. So Blair Witch 2. A group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project and exploring the mythology. But in the woods, they come across some really downbeat and upset. God, I'm just trying to. How can I say this without sound like a sexist pig? I struggle with that. With a bunch of upset and downbeat, sexually adventurous, promiscuous, and aware young women. They're upset and downbeat, but at the same time, they're sexually adventurous and promiscuous.
I'm not going to be very good at this, am I?
So it's Blair Witch 2, Book of Something. So I've replaced the word shadows. So
Downbeat.
they're upset, they're downbeat, but also it doesn't matter because we're going out tonight and we're going to get laid. So it's fine.
Are they sad hoes?
Correct. You've got it. Yes. You see what I mean then when I said about not wanting to sound. It's just a name game. It's just rhyming. I'm not being misogynistic or anything.
Just
I'm sorry. Okay. Next one. Now, sometimes I'm very loose with about. I'm just replacing shadows. Okay. But I'm very loose with it. So, a group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project to explore the mythology and phenomenon. However, on the way there, they get a little bit peckish. So they go to a lovely, famous chicken restaurant. Lemon and herb for me, please.
Book of Nando's.
Book of Nando's. Blair Witch 2, Book of Nando's. Correct. I told you I'm not very good at it.
That's fine.
A group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project, but they got a load of gear that they need a shift up to the woods. Loads of videotapes, loads of batteries and stuff. But luckily, one of them's brought something very handy for shifting a load of gear uphill.
My first thing was like an ox.
An oxen. It's not an oxen.
No.
Where did you get that? Oh, I just went down B&Q on the way here. Oh, it's handy actually. Shove it all in.
Oh my goodness. Book of Sherpas? I don't know.
I'm always on the receiving end of this, so I completely understand your pain. Blair Witch 2, Book of Wheelbarrows.
Okay. Not
Now
shovels.
I've said it out loud. It sounds nothing like Shadows,
Wheelbarrows,
does it?
shadows.
I've still got 2 more. A group of tourists arrive in Burkersville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project. Did you see the Blair Witch Project? Yes, and the Blair Witch is behind you. Oh, no, he isn't. Oh, yes, he is.
The Book of Pantomime.
Just a book of pantos.
Pantos.
Blair Witch 2, Book of
Book
Pantos.
Of Pantos.
Now, if any of those seemed unhinged, bizarre, and just downright wrong, here's your final one.
Okay.
A group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project to explore the mythology and phenomenon. But when they arrive, I can't even think about how to describe this. When they arrive, they find a load of tiny little rocks all laid out in the shape of feet. And they become particularly interested in the fake appendages on the end of the feet. The fake appendages on the end of the feet. The little wiggly ears. They're fake. They're not real. They're stones. This is weird.
Photos.
No. Feet.
Like,
think of feet.
Yeah, like toes.
Toes. Oh, so what? Photos is pretty good, actually.
Like
I said,
as in like faux pas.
Yeah, that's good. But I said, Book of Sham Toes. I mean, I'll be totally honest, and I'm gonna level with you, Lauren. I wrote these all down within about 30 seconds, and I didn't give them any thought or reasoning.
I think
so I
photos
apologize.
are better.
Photos is probably better, but Shamtoes is kind of right because it's shadows. Come on. Anyway, you got 5 out of 5. I don't think you did, but still. I think the best one was Sad Hose, though, wasn't it?
Sad Hose was the best one.
Because that sounds like shadows.
Shadows. Sad Hose.
There we go.
I like that one the best.
Pretty much the last thing we've got to do then is just rate the movie. A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Be as kind or as unkind as you like. What are you saying?
Is it the worst thing I've ever seen? Quite possibly. It's definitely an F.
An F? That's like the lowest. That's pretty much the lowest you can go. Is F minus the lowest you can go?
Yeah.
An F.
An F.
Jesus.
Sorry.
I'm usually pretty harsh when it comes to this stuff, but I'm gonna go for a. See, I want to say D, but I'm trying to think.
I
of
thought you were
like,
gonna say D. Then I was like,
D. I'm thinking about things I've given a D recently. It probably is a bit less than that. So I've notoriously always had a bad time with this film. My previous review, I think I just wrote "what a shower of shit," and with this one, I just wrote this is just a complete mess. And I think as a fan of the Blair Witch Project, I would say it's a completely like you can't even compare it to anything with the Blair Witch Project because that stuff's just not present. So judging it as a film on its own, it's just weird. It's got a weird pacing. Sort of like every character's written very strangely. I think all the twists the film thinks it's presenting as twists just are not impactful at all. You're just like, what? This is ridiculous. It's but I think out of everything, Kim director is Kim Diamond, the goth. She's pretty good. I like her going
the only
from like
saving grace.
Going her like absolutely nuts attitude in the sort of grocery store is wonderful. I like that. Everything else is pretty much let's go for an E plus. Okay, so I'm not going for a straight E. I'm giving it a plus because it's still Blair Witch, you know, and I like Blair Witch. It's not Blair Witch, but I mean it's just a weird one, isn't it? But I did watch.
Kim was your saving grace.
Kim was my saving grace. I did watch the 2016 Blair Witch as well, which I remember I watched in the cinema, and I did kind of think, that was all right. But I watched it back, and I went, no, it is naff. It is just it just tries to go. This is the original Blair Witch Project, but listen to this. We're gonna do everything else at 100 miles an hour, and it was just not good. very, very predictable, despite the fact it tried to introduce some sort of interesting little time loop and time jump things. Just not really impactful, because in the original you understand why someone's filming all the time, because they're literally making a documentary.
Yeah.
But with the Blair Witch 2016, they go into the woods to find somebody that's gone, but they take all these cameras, hit like a drone, like cameras they mount on their heads and that. And you just think, when it gets to the point where you've apparently been lost in the woods and it's been nighttime for 6 days, A, ain't no battery still going. B, no one's still filming.
Yeah.
You've had a guts full. So yeah,
Everyone's fed up.
That was pretty shite as well. There we go. Well, that was it. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. I mean, I enjoyed talking about it with you more than I enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
Which sometimes happens on this show. It does.
This duration of was more entertaining than actually watching the film. Probably about the same.
And a lot of the time, our podcast episodes are longer than the films we cover as well. So, if you don't want to spend 90 minutes watching Blair Witch, Book of Shadows, just listen to us talk about it.
Yeah. Much better.
Or if you've heard me say that, you have listened to us talk about it. So thank you for joining me, Lauren. Where can our listeners find more from you? Where can they keep up with anything you're working on?
Thank you for letting me come and talk about this terrible film.
It's your favorite, I heard you said, I'll talk about my favorite film.
So much my favorite. I am Lauren Buck on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me for things and updates.
So it's I am Lauren Buck. It's not I am, and then the username is Lauren Buck. It's I am Lauren Buck.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, I was confirming that. I was confirming that for everyone as well as me. So
yeah,
nice one. Go and follow Lauren. I'm sure you'll be back on the show when we want to discuss something you're actually a fan of. But I think it's good to discuss the good and the bad, you know?
Oh yeah. You learn from the bad things. Like, this is a film that you could watch and go, that's not how to do it. I
ain't never making that film myself. Definitely not.
No,
I'll do the orgy scene, but that's it. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons, including John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, Scott Rigby, Lane Spencer, Ollie Child, Leslie Carlo, Julia Bilgren, Nick Spill, Troy Birch, Rosalind Harnias, and Pazuzu. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review, and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just search Horror Hangout Podcast. You'll find us. Next week, we're covering Hell House LLC with special guest Leanne Burnham Richards, who is a paranormal investigator. Can you believe it? Looking forward to that. Nice one.
I know her.
Yeah, no, that was weird. I did think that when I wrote this earlier. I thought, you know her. I'm only inviting people who know each other from now on, all right? That at the end of next week's episode, I'll say to Leanne, do you know anyone who could come on the podcast? Could you invite them? But yeah, that was fun. Thanks very much, Lauren.
Thanks so much.
And thanks everybody for listening. See you next time. Bye bye.